Hi, I'm Larry Curl, lobbyist for the Indiana Volunteer Firefighters Association. I'm here this afternoon with State Representative Randy Fry, who will tell you that's retired State Representative Randy Fry, but he's still representative. So Randy, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Hi, Larry.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
First of all, we hope you're having a fun time in retirement.
Well, it's only been going on a week, but we're good so far.
All right. So during this last session, we actually passed a bill, House Bill 1454, that afforded the fire service some opportunity to have some income so that we don't have to go out and raise the money, do fish fries, bingo games, whatever we do to raise money. Can you talk to us about 1454?
I can. And 1454, Larry, is known as a DLGF bill, or Department of Local Government Finance bill. It's a huge bill. And the portion you're talking about is an amendment that we put in the last month or so of session that specifically deals with funding for the fire service, and in particular the volunteer fire service. So what that amendment does is it allows for each county council to adopt a local option income tax of 0.01% to 0.05%. Now, if you're wondering, first off, it's not a property tax, it's an income tax. And secondly, 0.01% on a $50,000 a year salary is $36 a year. A year. That's not $1 a week. If you can't afford $1 a week, you probably can't afford fire service. So we're looking at a local option income tax each county council must adopt, and then they can adopt from 0.01 to 0.05. 0.01% in Ripley County is about $800,000. Jefferson County, it's about $850,000. Some counties will be less, some counties will be more, depending on population.
So this bill that was passed, in that bill, it's a may provision versus a shall provision.
Correct.
Explain to us what that means to the firefighter.
A shall provision would mean each county must do it, and we didn't do that. We said you may do it. So we're in Ripley County. Ripley County Council may adopt an ordinance or a resolution, as you might have read in the bill, to implement a local option income tax of 0.01 to 0.05% beginning in January. Now, the law is already in effect, but they could not put this portion of the law in place until the county councils have adopted the resolution, and it goes into effect on January 1st. Then the income will begin to come into the county, and then they will then share that money with the volunteer fire service, the fire service in general, but most cases the volunteer fire service within that county. So
when you say that they will share that money, how will that money come back to the fire service?
Well, it's done by a formula, and Chairman Jeff Thompson, who's the chairman of Ways and Means, came up with a formula. I like it. I think it's a fair way to do it. It's taxed on real property value less farm ground. And so if you've got a department like Versailles, for instance, that has an industrial park, they got a school corporation, they're a larger department than maybe a smaller one in the county, then they would receive more money based on the assessed property value within the response district. Now, the smaller department would receive a portion, everybody will get money, but the bigger departments with a bigger demand, bigger run loads, they're going to get more money. But that's based on the formula that Chairman Thompson put together for real property, less farm ground.
So I saw someplace within that bill that it has a sunset date to it?
It's 2 years. However, every budget sunsets in 2 years. And so anytime you have another budget coming around, you have to renew everything. We renew the state police, even though it technically ends every 2 years, state parks and so on, prisons and you name it. So I think the thing to remember, one, is that Chairman Thompson is committed to continuing to fund the volunteer fire service. And he's not going to let this expire unless he brings back something even better. That's my opinion. I'm retired now, so I don't have the influence that maybe I might have had. But that's my opinion. This was discussions that you and I had with him over a couple of years now to get this in place. And Larry, make no doubt about it, this is the best opportunity for the volunteer fire service to get additional funding that we've ever had. Now, this doesn't replace your current funding. Your current funding is in place. If you have an agreement with a trustee or a town, you still are going to get that money. This is in addition to that money.
So what does the fire service need to do to make sure that they're a part of this?
Well, they got to get involved. They've got to go and talk to their county council. And what I would recommend is I would recommend the Fire Chiefs Association, if each county has one, most do, meet with the president of the county council, maybe a couple of counselors, and just sit down and explain why it's needed. My department's expenditures are this, our income is this, and we have to make up the difference in most cases with fundraisers. And so I think that's one of the deterrents for young people joining the fire service is not only do I have to do my training, not only do I have to make the runs, but I also have to be there to prepare food and clean up or a festival. And that demand on my time is more than my family is willing to give. When you've got young kids, you've got church, you've got family obligations, you just can't be at the firehouse all the time.
And I think you're exactly right, because we struggle every day trying to get new and young recruits and try to bring them into the fire service to provide that quality of service for public safety. And we always end up raising money to pay for that service.
Right.
So I think you're exactly right on that concept, that our demand on the new and younger members coming into the department has to be focused on providing that service, not raising money to provide that service.
And you also know, Larry, that back when we came into the fire service, the training wasn't near as rigorous as it is today. And in my opinion, as a retired firefighter, we can't cut the quality of training. The fire doesn't care if you're there to be paid or you're there as a volunteer. It'll kill you just as quick. We have to have the training. You have to have the gear that's needed. And so this year in the budget, we appropriated $10 million for fire gear and air packs. And now we're trying to make it so that you don't have to spend so much time raising money for your operation costs by this additional source of income.
So you talked about they can offer 1/10 of a percent up to 0.5%
1.01 to 0.05, correct.
How do we know what assessed value we're going to be operating off of at a local level?
Well, each county will have to tell you that, and that formula can be worked out. Where I would want to start would be with my county council. I'd want to talk to my county council president. I want to have their local attorney involved and have them get me that data. They have access to it, and then they can come back and tell you. One of the things I would recommend the department just do is come up with their budget and just show the council, this is how much money we have to raise every year from fish fries just to keep the doors open. We need this money. And whether they choose 0.01, which again is over $800,000 in this county, or 0.05, which could be up to $4 million in the same county, it's up to them, but it's also up to the fire service to show you need that money. So it's time to come prepared, be bold enough to go meet with our county council. Most of them are very receptive. I've spoken to 4 different counties in Southeast Indiana prior to my retirement, and no one said no.
So when should we be approaching our county councils?
Yesterday.
Fair enough.
You've got to get out there because you want this adopted before January, and they're going to have a couple of readings. So there'll be a meeting where they will propose it. Then there'll be a meeting where they'll have the resolution available, and then they'll have to come back and do it again. So you might be looking at October, even if you started it in August. You have to be out there now. So what I would be doing right this minute is making phone calls and going to their homes or going to their places where they'll meet with me and just sit down and explain to them and bring your books and show them this is what we have to do every year just to keep our lights on. You know, there's a department not far from here, it's not in this county. They get $1,000 a year from their trustee. $1,000 a year. They have to do bingo one night a week and serve food every week just to keep the lights on. It's insane. You know, Larry, you've heard me say this before, and I apologize to your listeners, but we don't ask the police department to do their job for nothing. We don't ask the people that plow our snow to do it for free. We don't ask the people that pick up our trash to do it for free. Why would we ask these people to do it for free? Because we always have, and we are coming to the end of an era where it's not going to continue. If we're going to save the volunteer fire service, this, in my opinion, is the best option we've ever had.
So final comment from you on 1454. If the council doesn't buy into this, and we hope that's not the issue, but if they don't buy into this, what should we do?
Well, they can buy into it next year. I would continue to prove my point. You know, Larry, I don't know if a council won't buy into it. Maybe some departments are so well funded they just don't need it. I don't know. I don't know about every department in the state, but the ones that I do know about need the money. And so what I would do is I would make my case. I would get very, very involved in this process before the end of the year, and I would make my case. And as I said, I've talked to 4 different counties in southeast Indiana, not one of them said no. This isn't a bad idea. And by the way, I want to tell you one more thing. I get the idea that this is going too long, and I apologize. But the state has just reported this week $2.9 billion in cash reserve. People have asked me a lot, why would we do a local option income tax? Why didn't the state just pay for it? They got plenty of extra money. Well, we did. We cut your income tax rate to 2.9%, which will far outweigh the cost of this local option income tax. By cutting your taxes to 2.9%, your income taxes, if you make $150,000 a year, that's $125 a year you'll save. We're talking 36 bucks. You can do 0.03 and still save money. So the state did pay for it, but we just give each county the option to do what they believe is correct for their county. Some should do 0.04, 0.05. Others, 0.01 is enough. We gave the local control so that locals can make those decisions.
And I think that's the way it ought to be. It's the way it should be.
That's what I thought.
And we're glad that it is. Randy, thank you very much for sharing that with our membership. And on behalf of our membership, we were truly honored to have you represent us in the State House. Your dedication, your support, your drive for public safety is unmatched by anybody that's been in the State House. We hope your predecessor or your person that follows you has that same drive.
Larry, it's been my honor not only to represent the fire service and public safety, but all the citizens of Southeast Indiana. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.